What's up guys, Asian here again, and this is going to be a pretty short video. This is just gonna be the full Ice Mage build that I kind of teased a little bit earlier. This was back when Somerset was around, so this is before Murkmire happened, so this is kind of the full build. This is very much a meme build. I would not recommend anybody run this particular build for endgame content. This is just something I just threw together just for fun to kind of show people who want to play as Ice Mages for whatever reason that it is possible to do endgame content as an Ice Mage. It's just obviously not going to be the best option for you. So again, I don't recommend running this build, but if you want to do it for role-playing purposes, or you just kind of want to meme and you're on a fun night perhaps, then by all means go ahead and run this build. So in terms of just gear, it's just Iceheart, and you have Ysgramor as your body set, and then on our front bar set we have Winterborn. I believe you can actually get Winterborn from guild traders because it is dropped from Maelstrom Arena. Actually no, if it's dropped from Maelstrom Arena then it is a bound set, so you will have to run Maelstrom Arena for this. I have Infused on jewelry, but you can go with Arcane or Bloodthirsty. You don't have an additional execute damage with this particular build, so Infused will end up being maybe a little bit stronger than Bloodthirsty once you have all your raid buffs accounted for, such as something you want to keep in mind there. Obviously double ice staves, infused frost damage on the front, and then infused absorb magicka on the back, because we still have those issues with sustain as a Magicka Warden. In terms of skills, again, this is like going full meme. This is going full like ice damage. So Force Pulse is the closest thing I can get to a spammal that does pure frost damage. You still have Flame and Shotgun there, but it's close enough to ultimate frost damage you can get. Frost Clench, Blue Betty, Bird of Prey, Inner Light, Northern Storm, and then we have Spell Sim, Winter's Revenge, Blockade, Ellie Drain. This is where your shield would be. Bird of Prey, and then Icy Rage. We're going to use Icing Rage as our primary ultimate. In terms of everything else is pretty much exactly the same to typical Magicka Warden. I am a High Elf just because they get a little bit more damage to Frost damage compared to Dark Elves, so that's why the High Elves, if you do want to go full meme, then just go High Elf. 64 into Magicka here. Then you have Ice Cream. This is just to kind of simulate in-raid scenario here. I have Mundus Stone is the Thief, and so for food you would be using Witchmothers or Psijic food instead, or not Psijic, Clockwork food, Clockwork Citrus Filet, so you do need additional sustain, so you definitely want to use Witchmothers or Clockwork Citrus Filet here. CPs, again, identical to your Magicka Warden. 75 Arcane, this is the biggest thing, 75 or 100, 75 Tenacity for the additional heavy attack. You ideally don't want to heavy attack too often, but you don't have to take the passive that taunts, so it's up to you. Blue CP, 66 Elfborn, 64 Ellie Expert, 28 Spell Erosion, 9 Staff Expert, 66 Master at Arms, 37 into Thaumaturge. Red CPs is, again, your typical 81 Ironclad, 61 Thick Skin, 64 Hardy Elemental Defender, just as needed for content that you are running. So again, this is, again, a full Ice Frost meme build. This is pretty much as Ice Mage meme as you can get. Don't recommend running this for endgame content. You can clear like Vet Craglorn crowds with this. You can probably even clear Vet Maw with this, but beyond that I probably wouldn't recommend running this for things like any hard modes or any of the mini trials. I would not recommend doing this at all. And of course, if you are going to be running this, don't do what I did. I accidentally took the Tri-Focus passive. Don't take this, because if you do need to heavy attack for sustain, you don't want to accidentally taunt. So just make sure you don't take Tri-Focus. I was just kind of running on autopilot and I accidentally took this passive, so this would actually not be there at all. So let's go ahead and do our parse just so you guys can get an idea of what you're able to pull with this Ice Mage meme build. So again, this is not ideal, not optimal at all. Very dynamic rotation still, just because of the way our dots line up. Destructive Plant has a 10-second duration, Winter's Revenge has a 12-second duration, Blockade has an 8-second duration. So unfortunately, you're going to have to kind of figure out a dynamic rotation. Alternatively, I suppose you could potentially use Unstable, but that's going to be DPS loss if you use Unstable Wall of Elements compared to Blockade. So again, don't recommend running this in trials, but you can tell from our DPS meter on the lower left they're actually not doing that bad. We are breaking the 30k mark that a lot of guilds use for VMAR requirements. Audio is being a little bit weird here. I have no idea why it's happening. It might just be all of the ice audio cues are all kind of stacking on top of each other, perhaps. You notice here is that we actually don't have any source of minor force. If you want minor force, you can certainly add in on acceleration if you'd like. There you go, that's the full Ice Meme build itself. So we're sitting at roughly 33.7k or so, so still, you know, vet trial ready. You can still do vet crags and VMAL like I mentioned. But it's definitely not something I would bring to any of the hard mode trials. I would not bring this into Halls of Fabrication. I would not bring this into any of the mini trials. So Asylum and Cloud Rust, I would probably avoid bringing them into those trials. But generally speaking, you could run an Ice Mage build and it still would be viable for most vet content in the game. Not all vet content, but it is good enough to kind of get through there. The big issue here is obviously sustain, and of course that you aren't getting any sort of additional weapon, any sort of additional damage out of your passives that way. But you can clearly tell that we are able to pull vet trials ready DPS. Again, it's just not something that I would necessarily recommend you run. If we were running something like Rearming Trap or Challenge Acceleration for the minor force, we would be probably shooting a little bit higher, closer to like 35k or so. 6k, but overall definitely not something I would recommend you run if you're for serious runs. That this is more for those of you guys who just kind of want to have something fun to kind of run while you know, still being able to pull pretty good DPS overall. So that's it for this build video. Hope you guys found this informative. I know this was a little bit different, but I figured I might as well put this out there for those of you guys who are interested in eventually running an Ice Mage build for whatever reason. Hope you guys found this video informative, and I'll see you guys in the next dungeon.